2020, and we here at Deacon Recruiting are back with our wine and wisdom. I'm Cathi Beecroft, and I've got two of our expert recruiters here today, Samantha McKelligan and Felicia Avalos.
Hey guys!
They're joining us today to really talk about a topic that we find super relevant at the start of any new year. And people are often making changes, whether it be going to the gym, eating healthier, but one thing that we find is always in people's mind, and that is looking at their career and perhaps looking at making a change, whether it be an internal promotion or perhaps leading an organization for a new opportunity. So we thought today's topic, and really kicking off our 2020 sessions, could be all about that professional development tips that we might be able to share with you, because let's face it, we are experts in the job change arena. We look at a lot of resumes every day, and we work with people to help them successfully make that transition, or even help coach them to determine that the job that they're in currently is phenomenal, and perhaps they just need to develop themselves a little bit further. So that's kind of the premise of where we're going today. We have a ton of information that we could actually share. So we only have a limited time, so some of the tips that we're giving are really just starter tips to kind of help you guys get the ball rolling. We are starting today talking about two very specific topics in that professional development arena, and that is resumes and kind of getting that blank piece of paper filled with pertinent information that really represents you and showcases what you bring to the table in a new opportunity. And also talking a little bit about the search process and some of the logistics and being able to kind of get that ball rolling as well. So again, as I mentioned, I've got Sam and Felicia here as really experts in this space. So I'd like to cheers 2020. I think that's awesome. I love the fact it's a new year. And I'll kick it over to Felicia after she takes a sip to kind of get the ball rolling on talking about resumes.
Absolutely. So hey guys, like Cathi said, I'm Felicia Avalos, and I am a recruiter here in our IT and medical division. So I wanted to start with, as a recruiter, we see hundreds and thousands of resumes every single day. So we want to give you some tips on how to differentiate yourself. So one we can start with is really tying in your accomplishments. Rather than putting on your resume job description or job duties, you really want to put those accomplishments that you've been, where you feel really successful at, and something that you can quantify. So,
Awesome. I think if I am a manager and I'm looking to hire someone and it's a particular job perhaps that's under my team, I probably know the details of the job and the duties that they're performing. So Felicia, that's really good advice, is to kind of ixnay those job description bullet points and really focus on what you as an individual bring to the table. Sure. Kind of those differentiators, right?
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and so some of those differentiators can be, what projects have you worked on? How did you impact maybe the bottom line for the organization? Maybe you improved a process, or maybe you delivered a project on time and under budget. Those are things that you really want to add on your resume that sets you apart from everyone else.
Awesome. Sam, what do you think about adding accomplishments versus a job description on your resume?
I absolutely agree. I think it is going to be what makes you unique. What makes you you? Why are you different from the rest? Another thing that I will always recommend will be to put awards, to make sure any award or recognition that you have acquired listed. Personality tests, those are big nowadays, so very important to be able to, if you have taken them, speak to those. And again, that is only to showcase who you are, right? One more thing that I will add would be community involvement. That nowadays, again, it's very important to be involved in the community. Organizations love individuals that are actually embedded in the community, so list the organizations you're being part of.
That's such a great point, and I think too that so many organizations today are so community minded. To have someone that's kind of culturally aligned with them, that also is involved in the community, is probably a big factor. And I've shared with a lot of people, and particularly these girls, companies these days, we've seen statistics as high as almost 80% that will hire on culture versus skill set. So what an important factor to include in your resume is that kind of outside the office, the community involvement that you have. What else do you have to add to our glorious resume tips today, Felicia?
Absolutely, and this might seem very obvious, but anything you list on your resume, make sure you can speak in detail about that. And that could be anything from technologies or software systems that you've maybe worked with, or potentially your communication style or projects. So you really want to be very specific and also be able to speak in detail about that. And this is, it could be as simple as if you put Microsoft Word and Excel, are you really an expert in those areas? If so, put them on there and make sure in that interview you really allude to that and really speak in detail.
That's such a great point, because how many times do we have clients come back and say, well, we interviewed the person and they really didn't have these skill sets. So I agree with that wholeheartedly. If you've got something on your resume, it really needs to be something that you have experience with. And if you're an expert, don't be hesitant to actually say expert in Excel or expert in SQL. So I think that would be really important. What else do you have to share, Sam?
Okay, so in terms of resume, they pay attention to detail, and that is the only way you're gonna showcase that in a piece of paper is by grammar and spelling.
That's right.
A lot of people will say, I have high attention to detail, and then they've got a lot of grammatical or spelling errors in their resume, which really doesn't walk the walk, right? It talks the talk, but not walk the walk. So we want to make sure that you are exhibiting that capability, and communication is another one of those. If you're not properly communicating, maybe using various tenses or third person information in your resume, that doesn't really speak well to your ability to effectively communicate, right?
Sure.
Outstanding.
Wanted to elaborate on what Sam said with the grammar and spelling is have someone else take a look at your resume.
Mm-hmm.
When you've been working on that resume for hours, days, weeks, whatever it might be, it starts melting together and you can't see it straight anymore. So have a second and third opinion, take a look at that, and get some advice and take that constructive criticism and adjust as needed.
Yeah, because I think with your resume, you really get one opportunity. It's your document to showcase what you bring to the table, what differentiates you from the crowd, as the ladies have said. And you want to make sure that document really represents you effectively. Because you send it in with those errors, you're going to have some issues. So I have a couple of questions to add. Did you want to share something additionally?
No.
Okay, so I have a couple of questions to add. How many pages should a resume be?
Well, in my opinion, for what I've seen, I will say 1 to 2 pages max.
Okay. And what's the reasoning behind that, Sam?
I think, again, Felicia might have something different to share based on the divisions we work at. But for corporate services, for an HR position, if you can bullet point and just really tell me, showcase, again, accomplishments, what you know what to do. The softwares, I think that's really, education, that's really the most important piece.
Okay, so keep it succinct and keep it precise.
Less is more.
Awesome.
Always.
So you work in IT and medical, and
Yes.
tell us a little bit about what your thoughts are on a resume link.
Absolutely. So a little bit different than what Sam has shared, but I really think that there's 2 types of resumes you can have. And I'm gonna throw some big words out there, but one would be a chronological resume and one would be a functional resume. So chronological would be kind of the typical resume that most everyone has and sees. It goes from your most recent experience and then goes back maybe 10, 15 years. This is great for individuals that maybe only have 10 to 15 years of experience and can include everything in there. Now, a functional resume, which most people might not be familiar with, it's really highlighting your successes, your accomplishments, and your legacy with companies that you've worked with. And that I've seen a lot in high-level IT professionals, maybe leadership. So that's a great option you can have.
Great. Any other thoughts to add? So for me, what you guys have shared, it sounds like, number one, make sure you've got accomplishments on there and not a list of your job description. Make sure if something's on your resume that you've got the real ability to be able to showcase your experience, hands-on experience, have examples for that, and then really making sure that you've edited your resume, looking for those small errors that perhaps might make you stand out not so positively. Good, well those are some awesome tips, and again, we will show you a visual at the end to give you an opportunity to kind of write down some of those nuggets for yourself. So the next thing we're going to be talking about is the search process itself. And I think that when you think about the search process, it can be a little overwhelming, but for me it's important to make sure that you have control over it, because if you have control over it, then you manage how overwhelming it can be. And remember, guys, that these tips are not only great for if you're looking outside of your company for a new opportunity, but all of these tips can really be helpful for you if you're looking to promote yourself internally, perhaps change departments, or really just look for that career development. So, ladies, what do we have to say about